I told you I was coming back to the 2-packs. So yes, I did it. I went and got the Jurassic Park Collaborative Dilophocon and JP12 2-pack because I don't think it's a secret that virtually everybody, myself included, was very disappointed with the previous Jurassic Park 2-pack. Tyrannicon Rex and JP93 weren't great. That set had a very big where's my money going feel to it. This set, I feel like maybe they learned their lesson to a degree. Sorry, still recovering from my illness. So I'm probably going to be coughing more as this goes on. But I feel like to a degree they did learn their lesson with this set. And that was kind of the impression I was getting from all the videos I was watching. And then this set went on sale. A pretty decent sale. It was like $50 for the pair. So, 25 each. That I was more willing to go for. And I'm glad I did, because in all honesty, this 2-pack is way better than the other one. Because Tyrannicon Rex was just Kingdom Megatron with a different head sculpt and a different paint job. It was a nice paint job, specifically in the Beast mode. The Robot mode paint job sucked because it didn't really exist, but the new head was nice. But, it was just Kingdom Megatron. And JP93 was an oversized and overly simple deluxe that was just too simple. And there was, aside from the head, there was no new paint in robot mode. All the paint was devoted to the vehicle mode. And that was just unfortunate and annoying. And it was just a disappointing set all around. And it was very blah. But here we've got 2 new molds. Dilophocon is a little bit reminiscent of Vertebrake, only larger. But I think she does enough that's different that I don't really feel like they really didn't just take Vertebrake and blow the mold up. But there is a lot of similar engineering cues in terms of how the chest section kind of flays open and the legs loosely work. But then that, I think, the way those legs work, it's kind of the same for a lot of beast formers. So can't really fault it for that. But yeah, there's just a lot different here. Both modes look really good. The robot mode for JP12 actually does have its own paint in a few places. Dilophocon, not so much. It's just the robot mode head. But because of the way she transforms, I think, well, I guess also the weapon, but I guess because of the way she transforms, the lack of new paint revealed in robot mode makes sense. But they did do some extra paint reveal for JP12, and also they look really cool, and they're neat. They're fun to mess with, and the gripes I have for these two are so insignificant compared to the gripes I had for the other 2-packs. So let's get into that, and I think we are going to start with Dilophocon. And she is a Dilophosaurus, and she looks good overall. It's a good look. The paint is nice, the texturing is nice. Pardon me. You can see that there's some nice molded texture all throughout. You've got the kind of patchiness painted in a few different places on the hips, along the back, and of course you've got the head and the frill, which all looks really good. But, and this is the thing, I'm going to echo this sentiment in the robot mode, but the thing that really bugs me about Dilophocon is this brown plastic. I hate this brown plastic. I still really like the figure, but this brown plastic I feel like doesn't need to be here. It doesn't need to exist. I don't get why they did this. It makes no sense, and I feel like it looks super out of place. It makes her look really patchy. And what really frustrates me is I feel like the way they could have gotten around this, because this brown plastic does not exist on JP12. JP12 uses a completely separate bunch of plastic. None of these colors appear on JP12. None of these colors appear on JP12. So why? Why the brown plastic? And this could have been completely fine if they did this brown plastic in the darker green that they used around like other parts of the figure. It would look so much better. It would make so much more sense. The colors would be so much more visually cohesive. Yeah, you'd still have these spots of like mismatched color here and there, but like if the dark green appears in other places throughout the thing, I think it would make it look more cohesive. Whereas here, the brown just makes it look like she's wearing a scarf, a diaper, and like calf warmers. I hate this. I hate that they went with this bad brown plastic for this dinosaur that doesn't have brown in it. And like I'm only I'm only slightly overplaying my frustration at this. It really does pardon me. It really does bug the crap out of me that this could have looked so much better if this was just a dark green similar to this. That's all it needed to be. There's zero reason why they could have like I really do not understand why they went with this brown. Unless it's to match this, but I feel like that's paint. That could be anything. There's zero reason for this to match this. And I feel like if this matched this, it would look so much better. But anyway, all those gripes aside, we've got the Dilophosaurus head, which does look good. Like if we ignore the brown, the dinosaur mode does look good. It's unnecessarily huge. Like this is, you know, like roughly Allosaurus, maybe Carnotaurus size, if we're looking at the vehicle, as opposed to actual Dilophosaurus. Well, then again, the actual Dilophosaurus was not this, so maybe this is more accurate to actual Dilophosaurus scale rather than Jurassic Park movie Dilophosaurus scale. I don't know. But this is a good-looking dino, and they did the weird thing with the heels, which I get, and it kind of works because it makes the feet look like they're angled a bit, and like this definitely would not be able to balance easily if you didn't have those heels there, but it's a little odd. Kind of, I don't know. Like, I feel like there's really not much you could do with this to change the parts count because of various limitations that I'm assuming were there. So having those heels fold away, I don't really think would work. But it does look a little bit strange. And I do think if there was a little bit more budget, it would have been nice if those heels could fold away. And maybe like you could angle these down and angle the toes up to give it more of like an actual dino foot look. But it is what it is. Anyway, the head does look good, as I said. The eye's just a yellow dot, which is fine. It's simplistic, but it's fine. You've got the head crest and the frills are a little bit irritating, like a lot of people have pointed out. These just peg on, and they do tend to unpeg if you're not careful, but they're not too hard to work around too, so it's not too bad. And if I really wanted to, I could always thicken that up and just leave it like that. And you also get the little spitting effect, which is cute. I like that. And that just pegs into the bottom of the jaw there. So that little peg, that off to the side. And then you can open and close the mouth. But what's cool about this, they did not paint the inside of the mouth, unfortunately. But what's cool about this is there's this little lever back here that if you push that lever, it opens and closes the mouth. And that's just, I don't know, that's fun. I like that. And as for the articulation in the dino mode, you don't really get much. You can kind of move the head up and down, but it breaks the sculpt up here. But you can kind of reorient this to line up with things if you need to. As you saw, the jaw opens and closes. You can't turn the head at all. It doesn't move like that, so that sucks. The little arms here are on ball joints that don't really allow much for wiggling, but they do wiggle a bit. And they can rotate. The hips, if you leave her in her default transformation, the hips don't move. You can't do anything with the hips. But the feet are on ball joints, so you can rotate them, move them up and down a bit, and like tilt them in. And then there's also a separate hinge there that you can use to angle them forward and back, so you can kind of shift them around a little bit and angle them as you want. If you want to use the hips, you can. They just there's a little tab right here that tabs in to the inside of the thigh there, so you can untab them, and that gets you access to the full ball jointed and rotational. There's like a little mushroom peg in there, hip for the that would be for the robot mode. You can kind of, if you want, use this knee a little bit, but as you do that, it starts to detransform it. So really, it's just if you untab the hip, you can wiggle that around. But you can kind of get very simple poses out of it, which is something. And that's it for Dilophocon. She's cool, but I just really hate that brown plastic. Now, JP12 was a real surprise, actually. I thought, like, I mainly, I was trying to say mainly and mostly at the same time, I mainly got the set for Dilophocon because I thought Dilophocon looked cool. And then it turned out, surprise, surprise, JP12 ended up being my favorite of the two. This is a really dense, compact, and kind of just satisfying to hold little Jeep. And it looks great. Yeah, there's some mold lines all over the place, but like it's Transformer. But I really like the coloring they got here with like the red stripes going around here and around the side. The red for the little windshield. But then like the brown kind of canvasy bit on the back, which you have the blue plastic going all the way around. I believe this entire thing is blue plastic that is painted. The back is also nicely painted with the taillights, the tire, the red rim, the little JP12 license plate. Also tires with red rims on the other sides. And then around the front, you of course have JP12 on the hood and the little blinkers and headlights done in clear blue. You've got another little license plate tampograph in the front there. And yeah, you can store all of the accessories, like every single accessory that comes with JP12 stores in vehicle mode, which is great. And my favorite little detail, I like obviously having the Jurassic Park logo on the doors. I like that, but this alone makes JP12 so much better than JP93 because you don't have a bunch of tampograph details going across the transformation hinge. This is just one flat panel, so you don't have to worry about any of this getting broken up by the transformation. You don't have to worry about the tampographics getting thrown off, and that's just so much nicer. The way they designed this Jeep is so much better than JP93. All I can do is presume, so I don't know how true this is, but the quality of engineering and design behind JP12 is so much better than JP93. I can't help but assume that this is the one that was being worked on the longest and most diligently, while JP93 was sort of either an afterthought or was like a last minute, we need to get this done kind of thing. That's pure speculation on my part, but that's the impression that I get, because this is just a much cleaner alt mode, a much better transformation, and just a much better figure in general. And it rolls pretty nicely too. So there's that. Yeah, it's a really cool, like I said, just like holding this thing. There's something really satisfying about how compacted it is and how dense it is and how well it all comes together. Dilophocon's nice too, but JP12, I'm shocked at how impressed I am with this guy. Now, for size comparisons, I'll select them over a little bit more and bring this up and bring in our standard size comparisons. So there we've got Artfire and Overprime. Yeah, it's fine. Lean back, I don't care. And Samus. And then here we've got Burnout. And if we do get Dilophocon off to the side here, you can see that JP12 is actually noticeably smaller than Burnout. Not by a ton, but definitely smaller. But despite being smaller, he feels either about the same weight or even a little bit heavier, which kind of says a lot in my mind. So yeah, that's how all that works out. Let's get all of you out of here. So I got one more comparison to make before we get to the most important one. Because I don't have JP93 or Tyrannicon Rex, but I do still have my buzzworthy Toy Colors Grimlock, Dinobot. So there is how the three of them look together, and you can also see that I need to lower the intensity on that light a little bit. You can see that Dinobot, I keep wanting to call him Grimlock. Dinobot is definitely bigger than Dilophocon. So yeah, I'd say like Dilophocon is roughly deluxe-ish in terms of size. Definitely not a Voyager, but yeah, that is how that stacks up. And let's bring JP12 back in here because we still have to do the one vital size comparison of the video, and that is the duck tank. Yes, I'm aware it's a little bit weird that I have this obsession with the Kingdom Dinobot toy that's the color of uncooked chicken. I don't care. I prefer Buzzworthy Dinobot because of, original toy colors. I just wish he wasn't like yellowing or whatever, oranging, whatever some of the plastic is doing. It's a little weird, but it is what it is. Anyway, since we started with Dilophocon, we will continue with Dilophocon and transform her first. But before we transform Dilophocon, if you like this video, want to support the channel, etc., I have Patreon. It's a single $1 tier. $1 a month gets you early access to new videos, in addition to access to the occasional Patreon-only video I may make. I also have a coffee if you'd rather do that. Or if you'd rather not give me money but still want to support the channel, you could always do the typical YouTube thing of like, comment, share, subscribe. Links for the coffee and Patreon are going to be at the end of the video, down in the description, and that's it. So, to start with the transformation, I'm going to pull this section back here and get this piece kind of tucked up. Pardon me. Just pops up into there, and this can kind of sit back like this for now. I'm going to untab the hips and take this front section of the thigh and pop that off of the leg, and this will curl down on this double hinge and kind of tab in there, and this will settle in like that, and we can straighten out the leg and straighten out the foot, and there we have robot mode leg versus dino leg. And I like how this panel moves, how it kind of shifts the mass from the thigh down to the shin, so that you go from a very obviously bipedal dinosaur with beefy thighs for running, chasing down prey, whatever, to a more kind of standard humanoid proportioned leg by just that simple little hinged section. I don't know, it's a simple process, but it accomplishes a lot to change the look and shape of the legs. I like that. Now, I'm going to untab the arms. They just, there's a little tab here on the inside of the wrist that plugs in there. And swing this back. Untab, swing this back. And what I prefer to do, well, I'm going to leave these arms out for now, but I prefer to do a little bit more with them. Now, this section here, you want to, pardon me, you want to rotate the frills up. Now pull the head down too. Rotate the frills up. Pop these two sections apart. You can see this little tab back there. So swing this down. Swing this back and out. And now this frill section will swing in and around this armature, and this will swing down. And we can kind of rotate this back. Well, we'll leave it rotated up a little bit for now. But with that like that, we can push the robot head up on this panel, bring that up. This will come down, and this will accordion up and in, and you just want to push this hinge up into this section of the body, and this will just kind of sit like that. Then push this forward, and this panel will kind of sit over this hinge here. So push that forward as much as it'll go, squeeze it in real good, and make sure that torso is completely together. And then we can also kind of shift the frills back down, and they'll just kind of rest up against the back here. And what I prefer to do myself is you can leave these out, you can rotate them different ways. I prefer to just kind of rotate them up like this, so that they kind of add to the look of the frills, and also these help to keep them in place, because they're not going to be able to shift forward with these hands here very much, so that helps to keep the frills from popping off, though it's not strictly necessary for that, but it does help. And like I said, it kind of adds to the design up here. And then finally, this piece can come up, and then the back of the tail here can tab into this bit right up here, and that is weirdly difficult to line up. I don't really understand why. I feel like this needs to shift up slightly, but it just doesn't. So instead, I'm gonna rotate these out and angle this back a little bit and pop that in. And yeah, here you can see that when you do that, the frills don't settle down as far as they used to. It's just kind of how it goes. I don't really understand it. But there is Dilophocon in her robot mode, and I've got things to say about this robot mode, mostly positive, but we will get back to her, as we still have to do JP12. Those feet situated. Now, JP12 is definitely more involved. First thing, I'm going to take the shaving cream can and unclip it. There's just this little section right here that this nub kind of, like, you can plug it in, you can clip it in, it just sits under there. But I like that you can do that. That pops right out, and this will go off to the side. The helmet can stay on for transformation, you just have to make sure you rotate the head around, but it does, it's a little bit tricky with the clearances, but that yellow piece is the helmet. Anyway, first thing we're going to do is get the entire upper canopy up and back. So this whole thing will kind of come up and hinge forward a bit. And this piece and this piece and this little red section up here are all connected. Main thing you want to do is unplug these little bits from the back here, kind of tab in. You can see those tabs there. So those unplug, and this whole thing shifts up and disconnects and will kind of pop up and around all of this. And it's a little bit clashy, but you can kind of get it done. The main issue I have with this part of the transformation is this hinge in here is very tight, so it makes getting this piece moved a little bit of a pain. Anyway, with this up and out of the way, this entire panel with the tire can fold in, and just like that, and we can kind of straighten that out for now. These doors can untab. They just tab in a little bit. They hook in like right in here. So just untap those and bring them out. There you can kind of see where it's hooked in there. So just untap that, bring it out. And we'll do the legs. So unplug the legs from each other and swing them out as far as they'll go. I want to angle this forward a little bit actually, because we need to take this panel and swing it in. This is a little bit tricky to do for the first leg, but you get this, swing it in, and you can swing the leg out, and then this can swing back in and close back up. Then this piece along the back here untabs, and this whole thing swings around and swings forward on this kind of dual hinge system here, and settles into place to become a foot. And that is one leg done. And this leg, same deal. Pop the door, swing this around, close the door, and then untab the foot, bring it out, and swing it around, all the way around, and there we go. legs. Very simple, but very effective. And then this piece here can just fold down. And that is the lower body all done. Now things get a little bit trickier. So we want to take the arms and they actually tab into this gray piece here. So you want to untab that. You can see the tab that goes into that little section there. So untab these, bring them down. And those can just kind of sit like this for now. Now, I also want to take care of these wheels, I think, now. So bring the wheels down on this little gray piece. They kind of click into place. So here you can see there's this little gray armature. You want to pop that out and bring it up. And then this clicks and shifts in and kind of pseudo clicks back into place. So now things are at this kind of 45-degree angle. I'm going to do the thing I always forget to do, which is take these back sections of the wheel well and fold them up. And now we can angle this down, start to bring it down, and you want to be careful. You basically want to make sure that these tabs can clear this gray piece here. And might just kind of shift this a little bit so that it's a little bit easier to get around. So bring this down and just kind of keep bringing it down. And now it's stopping because the wheels are hitting the arms. You want to bring the arms out, and they're on this separate armature here. So you can kind of bring that armature out a little bit. And this can go down the rest of the way and kind of click into place. And this is why you want to have this section, you want to have the helmet roll spun around, because when this comes up, you want to make sure there's enough space for this to bring this back down. You want to make sure there's enough space for this to swing up and clear that helmet. There's just enough space. So do that, bring this down, and we'll kind of click into place. With these door windows out, we can shift this back up, and there are, it's hard to see, pardon, but there are little slots on the underside here that will tab over these tabs here. So just shift this up and then bring this in, and that will tab into place. Keep all that nice and secure. This red panel folds in just like that, and there is some paint rub on mine. I think that's just like the paint was sticking, and when I transformed it for the first time, it just came off. It's fine. You only ever see this in robot mode. I haven't noticed any additional flaking, and it's the back of the robot, so I don't care. But anyway, then this panel can fold down, and that also kind of helps to cover up or at least mask that paint flaking. And then last little bit, I want to take this hinge here, part of this armature that the arm is on. You want to swing that around, and this tab here will plug into this hole underneath on the underside of this wheel well piece. So that comes up and just kind of plugs in and can finish angling this down. And you want to rotate the fist. And same deal here. Angle this down, bring this up, and plug that into the little hole. And we'll shift the shoulders up a little bit more and rotate the fist. And finally, rotate the head 180 degrees. And there we have Autobot JP12 in robot mode. And I hate the name, much like I hate the Autobot JP93 name, but the problem I have with JP12's name is a little bit more of a nerd thing. It's basically, this is Nedry. This is 100% Dennis Nedry, and making Nedry an Autobot, I think, is really messed up. Because Nedry was one of the primary bad guys of the movie. Like, he was the one that was solely responsible for getting so many people killed. I mean, he got what was coming to him, but still, like, this little sucker is the one who started everything. He is not an Autobot. So, yeah, I don't care that he's Autobot JP12. There's no Autobot logo on him. He is going on the Decepticon shelf along with Dilophocon. We'll chalk it up to Dilophocon just not dealing with any of his nonsense. I don't know. But Point is, I actually really, really like this robot mode because it's so different. Like, I know some people aren't a fan of having the wheels like this. If you want, you can rotate them to kind of change up the profile a bit. And they do stay like this. If you want to leave them like this, you can even shift them up a bit. Maybe not all the way, but you can shift them up if you want them to be more of like a traditional hound style. But that removes a good portion of the personality in the design. So no, we're gonna be leaving them like this because it looks objectively better. I mean, no, it's not objective, but I'm being silly. But no, this does look way better to me because I really, really like how different this approach to the design is. I like how he's, how he looks kind of portly, how the wheels come forward to give him like this sort of rotund shape, which may be a little messed up. I feel like they're kind of doing Wayne Knight dirty with with the body shaming here, though I wouldn't really call it shaming, but yeah, it's just cool. I think this is a fun design, and it looks really neat. The yellow helmet is silly, but it is removable. We'll see that later. The color breakup here is really nice, and much like JP93, much like Dilophocon, most of the new colors in the head, but unlike JP93, you do actually get new color, specifically the red on the forearms and the red on the knees. That is entirely new paint just for the robot mode, and it's not much, but it's enough. And yeah, this is a cool little guy, and maybe not that little, but bringing back Dilophocon, you can see she is taller by a little bit, not just the frills, like at the head she is taller, but then she's also wearing heels, kind of, so there is that. But here are the two of them together, and this is a really nice set. I like how cohesive they look together. It's kind of messed up when you think about it for more than 5 seconds, how they are taking these scenes of people getting maimed or eaten, or in other ways horribly killed, and turning them into little toy homages, but that's fine. Not a moral judgment, I just think it's kind of funny in a messed up kind of way. But these two do look really good together. You get some nice new detail revealed with Dilophocon, like in the thighs, and the insides of the torso here, and of course the head. And the arms. Those are tucked on the underside of the dino body. And for Dennis here, you've got the arms and legs are practically all new. And the head. And yeah, he's got like a lot of alt mode on his back, but there's a surprising amount of it that goes into his torso and his legs. So I can appreciate that. And this really isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. It tucks in really nicely. It's a little bit clashy getting things lined up, but it's not too bad. And it just looks cool. I really do like this robot mode a lot. I like that it's both kind of neat and also a little bit silly with the wheels down here. But I really like how that is just a kind of robot design, robot body shape that we don't really get that much because they're so dead set on like cool, heroic proportions and all that. And here just, we get a little bit of a wide boy, and I like that. As someone who used to be quite heavy set, I like this. I think it's just neat to see this kind of body type in there a little bit more often than the super skinny or buff robot bodies, which I know is weird to say because they're robots. They don't technically have muscle, but except when they're semi-organic, but you know what I mean. But yeah, this is a cool set. And again, when they're transformed here, you can see what I'm talking about, how this brown plastic does not appear in JP12 anywhere. So there is zero reason for them to use this color plastic. And again, this would look so much better if it was that darker green. But oh well. Anyway, let us look at Dilophocon proper. And she is, again, very cool. I like the robot design. I like how she's just kind of a Dilophosaurus that stood up and opened up a little bit, but like it still works. And you can kind of see here, it's like this bit in particular really makes me think of Vertebrake, but I don't dislike it. It is weird that this panel is a separate piece, so it can actually unplug, or rather unclick, from this joint here and move independently of this piece like a butterfly joint. But like, I don't really understand why that's necessary, because you could just use this as the butterfly joint, unless you just want to keep this stationary. But again, I don't really see why that's necessary, because this and this, like, they end up in the same place when you move them. So I don't know, but that's how they just decided to design it. There is a little bit of new molded detail that's revealed, like in the waist and inner thighs, though you could kind of see a little bit of this if you untapped things in the Dino mode. But like, this stuff was covered by these shin panels, what are now shin panels. You also get a little bit of robotic detailing on the inside here, which you couldn't really see, but it was there in Dino mode. And then when this lays open, you get some chest detailing around the outside here, and then just like a mass of hinges up in here. And this is a little bit ugly, but it is what it is. If you wanted to, you could bring out the Dilophosaurus head. So you could do something like this. It's a thing. If you wanted to do it, you could do it, but it is supposed to sit like that. And yeah, relatively clean. You got the tail along the back, but we'll do something with that later. And it's just a pretty decent, if a little bit annoyingly brown in places, robot mode. The head is also really cool. I like the head a lot. I do kind of wish that there was a little bit more going on color-wise, but the sculpt is great. I love these fins along the top that kind of mimic the frills, or not frills, but like the fins on the front of the Dilophosaurus head. The helmet just has a really nice kind of classic sci-fi texturing to it, with like these smooth bits with like little divots and stuff in a few places, little circles, the chin strap. The face is what it is, but like, I like that dark green that they used in there, and the orange yellow, I think orangey yellow. No, this is definitely more orangey. This is definitely more orange than this. So yeah, kind of an orangey yellow that they use for the eyes. I like that. It looks really good. For the articulation, the head is on a ball joint, so it can look up and down a kind of hilariously small amount. It can tilt left and right a bit, and it can look left and right, though it is a bit stiff, and when you start getting to here, it's clashing with this panel back here, so you can't go all the way around, but it does move. The shoulders are ball jointed, so they can go all the way around, and they can go out. And as we saw, you can use this as a butterfly joint, or you can disconnect this and use this as a separate butterfly joint. The elbows are ball jointed, so you can bend ever so slightly past 90, and that also works as a bicep swivel, which is fine. This being a deluxe, I feel like it would have been nice if she had like a dedicated bicep swivel and a dedicated elbow rather than just a ball joint, but you know, the budget had to go somewhere, and I feel like with how well this turned out compared to the other one, I can deal with ball jointed elbows. No waist articulation because of how all of this transforms, which is fine. Ball jointed hips that can swing really far forward and really far back, and can go out not quite all the way, but still pretty decently. You can use the ball joint as a bit of a thigh swivel, but then you also have a dedicated thigh swivel, so you can rotate out. You can't really rotate in very much, but you can rotate out. And then you have a slightly more than 90-degree knee bend, and this panel does not have any bearing on that. That's as far as it goes. And the ankles are exactly the same as the Dino ankles, so you can move forward on that hinge or back. You can use the ball joint at the base. You can angle the foot a bit this way or this way. The cut is supposed to give you more ankle tilt, but it doesn't really seem like it's that big of a change. But hey, it's something. And yeah, articulation on Dilophocon is pretty decent. She's not super duper posable, but for what she is, I think it's totally fine. And again, she does look cool. Robot mode does look cool, even if there are some unfortunate color choices and articulation limitations. And you can also give her her gun. You just untab this from back here, and that will allow us to kind of readjust this whole thing so it doesn't pinch in as much. And take this tail, slide this off of the base, and this just folds back up and just kind of sits. I do also wish this did a little bit more, like maybe if this could hinge up and slide back more. I feel like there's room for it, but it's just not there. You just can't move that way. But anyway, take off the tail, and then pop this way, and swing this around, and the tail tip will just kind of sit in here and catch on this little lip. And there you've got a revealed little gun thing. And this plugs into her hand, and you can take the little spit blast effect and plug that in here. And I can appreciate how, while it's not a great, like it doesn't really look quite right, like it looks like it should be like this, there is a little bit of a noticeable barrel here. So it does kind of look like maybe it's working as intended. And this can go into her hand, and there she's got this going on. And it's just weird because the angle's not really straight. It's like this strange curve. Oh, that's better. But it's still kind of a strange curve. Like this just kind of goes... But hey, it is what it is. It stores. And yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of the blast effect, but I still like her. But she's not my favorite out of this 2-pack, as I said. Which was a bit of a surprise, because also, as I said, the whole reason I got this set was pretty much for Dilophocon. But JP12, I already talked about JP12's looks, but yeah, it does look really good. The color breakup is nice. Nothing color-wise looks out of place to me, which I really appreciate, and I really love how they went with a more, a less conventional shape for this guy. That is cool. The little can, you can just plug in back here to store it. So you can keep all of his gear on him in robot mode without having anything equipped, which is cool. I will get into the weapons stuff in a minute and show you what I like to do, but it's cool that like all of his equipment, and he does have a gun in addition to the can and the helmet. You may not, if you're not familiar with this figure, you may not know where the gun is, and that's one of the things that's really cool about it. But yeah, I like that he stores everything in his robot mode. Now the head is meant to be like Robot Dennis Nedry, and I think it gets the job done. The helmet is just a big old yellow helmet with the little Jurassic Park logo on the front, and it does tab in, so you can just pop that off. The thing that does bug me about this is painted yellow. And you can see when you tilt it up like this that it is not yellow plastic, which I understand because this is all, you know, there is no yellow plastic on him, but that also means that this could rub away if you keep it on during transformation if you're not careful. But the way this works is there are just some slots on the back of the head, tabs on the inside of the back of the helmet, and you just pop it on and tap it down. Really smoosh that thing down into place. Make sure it's on nice and snug, and then you don't really have to worry about it coming off. And it looks a little silly. The brim's a bit wide, but it's a neat little feature, neat little gimmick accessory. And this is really where you get the Dennis Nedry as a robot look, right down to having like a little headset, which I don't think he... No, he did wear one in the film, I think. And yeah, he's got the the glasses as blue eyes, which is neat. I like the silver face with the black head, so it just makes it look like, you know, face surrounded by hair and a headset. Would have been cool if the headset was a different color, but, you know, with everything else going on with this figure, I feel like that would have been even more expense to go towards the paint, and, you know, this set is expensive enough when it's not on sale. I'm just gonna pop the helmet back on. A nice little squeeze. Make sure it's on there nice and solid. And yeah. Looks good. The head is on a ball joint, so you do get a little bit of left and right tilt and some up and down movement. And also, you can look all the way around because, you know, for the transformation, you got to rotate it 180 degrees. The shoulders are on ball joints. They can go all the way around, though you do have to bring them out a little bit to get around the door wings. They can go out this far, but if you use that other hinge, they can go out this far. That's pretty good. You can also unplug this to bring them up even further, but now it's like slightly untransformed and this is no longer tapped into the torso, but hey, you can go up more. And pop that back in. This, it doesn't sit in flush, like on either side. It sticks out slightly, but it is in there. Like you can see as I move the arm, it's not unplugging. It actually makes a little bit of a click as you pull it out and when you push it in. So like it's not going to sit in all the way, but it does settle in pretty solidly. Anyway, the bicep swivels, the elbow bends to slightly under 90 degrees. The wrists do swivel as well. The waist does not move, which kind of sucks. Like they could have probably fit something in there, but it's okay. But yeah, there is no waist articulation. The little hip skirt thing can move out of the way if you need it to. The hips can go forward to about there, so not 90 degrees, but not bad. Go back to about here before they crash into the backpack that's hanging down. And go out slightly past 90, get a dedicated thigh swivel. You have 90 degrees of knee bend. It's not going to bend any further because of this whole thing back here. So that's as far back as it goes. And then the feet, they do have ankle tilt, or in. Can't really tilt out, but you can tilt in. And because of the dual hinge system here, you can also point the toe, either by moving it here or moving this back, though that kind of recenters where the foot is, so it's probably better to do that. But yeah, you have a decent amount of posing options on this guy. Pardon. Now, for his accessories that aren't the helmet, you can unplug the can from the wing there, and yes, as you saw, here you've got the recognizable shaving cream can with an Autobot symbol on it. So I guess he does have an Autobot logo, and it just goes around, nicely painted and colored and tampographed, and this pops out. Well, I guess I'll have to show it in his hand. This goes in his hand, and then this piece can pop off, and there you've got the embryo storage thing. This is also designed so that this can plug into his hand. So if you want, you can plug this into his fist. I prefer not to do this because that's just straight up paint going in there, because this piece is translucent blue like this is. So you can do that, but outside of this one instance, I'm not doing it again because I don't want to risk rubbing that paint off. But that is what you can do there. And then for his gun, this is the cool part. And if you're already familiar with this, then this isn't a surprise. But if you're not, this is really cool. The winch on the front of the Jeep is actually the gun. This just can swing out and kind of wiggle that loose and unpeg it. It just pegs in right there. And there we have a little winch gun. And that's cool. I really like that. And this can peg into his fist. I'm actually going to take out the shaving cream can and plug this in this fist. So there he's got a little pistol. And this is a missed opportunity because this should absolutely be able to go over this. Like it practically fits almost perfectly, but it doesn't. Like it holds on. If you twist it just the right way, it'll hold on, but like it doesn't take much to bump that out of place. That's not pegged on like it pegs into this, and that stinks. Can this peg over? Oh yeah, okay, that works actually. I didn't realize that. You can use the little peg hole in there on the little peg there and do this. So you can give him like a big shaving cream rifle. The only problem with that is I worry that this might stress the clear plastic there. So that's another option you can do. That's cool. What I prefer to do with the weapon is I just take the shaving cream can and plug it in the underside of the fist with the pistol thing on top. And now it kind of looks like he's got a little handheld flamethrower or something like that. And I don't know, that works for me. For just like a interesting little weapon option. I like that. So yeah, there is JP12 in robot mode, and he is pretty darn cool as well. I still take issue with him being an Autobot because Nedry was not a good guy. I mean, granted, Hammond wasn't exactly a good guy either in the grand scheme of things, but Nedry, you know, straight up got people killed because he was greedy. So I don't think he should be an Autobot, is all I'm saying. But there is JP12 and Dilophocon. And yeah, this is a fun little 2-pack. Cool robots, cool figures. And let's just move on to size comparisons so we can wrap this up, because I have been talking for a while. My throat is dry. I'm still recovering. Though my cough is better for some reason, I don't know why. Anyway, there is Artfire for Voyager. Ovaprime for like a Tall Deluxe. Samus, just because it's a reference point that more people may know if they're not familiar with Transformers toys. And Burnout. So there is how they measure up with everyone. And of course, going to get these three in the middle out of the way here. And bring in Burnout a little bit closer. So you can see that JP12 was smaller than Burnout in vehicle mode and is smaller than Burnout in robot mode, but not by a whole heck of a lot. Like the amount of robot here versus here, I feel like it fills out pretty well. Yes, JP12 is definitely shorter than Burnout. And the vehicle mode is smaller than Burnout, but like, I don't know. I think it works, and I think the amount of you get, the amount of robot that unfurls from the vehicle on this that's like noticeably smaller than this is still really impressive to me. And gotta bring back Buzzworthy Dinobots for our Voyager Beast Wars-ish figure. So yeah, there you see how they stack up. And Dilophocon is 100% not Voyager size, not even close. Also, I'm just now noticing how seeing them side by side like this, actually I think Dilophocon is pretty much the same height as JP12, not counting the frills. So there's that. And finally, most important size comparison of them all. Spared no expense and other played to death Jurassic Park references. Here they are with the duck tank. And that does it for Jurassic Park Collaborative Dilophocon and JP12, the second box set 2-pack that we got out of this bizarre mashup. And as I said at the start of the video, this is a much better 2-pack than the last one. I feel like objectively this is a better 2-pack. Yes, the figures are smaller, because like JP93, from what I recall, was taller than I'm pretty sure JP93 is taller than Burnout. I'll have to double check. I'm not going to put it in the video, but point is JP93 was bigger than either of these guys. Tyrannosaurus Rex definitely bigger, but there were just so many corners that seemed to be so obviously cut, and that set was so much more expensive. Even at regular MSRP, the first 2-pack was like around $110, $115. This set, by contrast, regular MSRP about $75. I would have been much more content with paying $75 for this than I was paying over $100 for the other set. Definitely. But I didn't pay $75 for this. I paid $50. And at $50, it was absolutely worth it. Like, as I said, would not have been mad if I paid full price, but I am ecstatic that I didn't. These are some fun bots. Really, my only real thing is I wish Dilophocon used dark green instead of that brown, and a little bit more color for Dilophocon, like paint in places, would have been nice. JP12, I really don't have any major criticisms. Would be cool if you could do a little bit more with the guns or with the accessories. A waist swivel would have been nice, but it's a shockingly solid deluxe, especially for one that's meant to be Nedry. Which again, shouldn't be an Autobot. But that's enough of that. I've gone on way too long. So that is all of the things I have to say about these two. What do you think of this 2-pack or the other Jurassic Park collaborative set? Or, what do you think we could potentially see in the next one? If they do a next one. There are still plenty of characters, plenty of vehicles, and plenty of dinosaurs that they have not covered yet. Whatever your thoughts, feel free to chime in down below. I always enjoy hearing from you all. Thank you everybody for watching. And as of this recording, I've got one more figure that is new for 2024 that I have not made a video on yet. So, gonna go for that. It's a big one. We'll see how we get on.